Welcome back to Miss Liz IBG. You have probably heard of the baby monkey experiment, haven't you? In 1950, psychologist Harry Hallard separated baby monkeys from their mothers. He gave them two artificial mothers instead. One made of wire that provided milk, another one made of soft cloth that provided only warmth. The babies almost always chose the soft one, even when it gave them nothing to eat. But what most people don't know is what Hallard did next. In the 1960s, he created what he called the evil mothers. The same soft cloth toys, but with hidden mechanisms inside. Some would blast the baby with freezing cold air. Some would shake violently until the baby's teeth rattled. And the most extreme one, the Iron Maiden, shot out brass spikes to stab the baby clinging to it. But do you know what the baby monkey did? It didn't run away. It held on even tighter. And recently, millions of people around the world felt the same thing watching a real baby monkey. His name is Punch. He lives at Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan. Born in July 2025, abandoned by his mother just days after birth. The zookeepers gave him a stuffed IKEA orangutan to cling to. They even call it Oran Mama. Videos of Punch went viral in early 2026 as it was being pushed away by other monkeys, hiding in a corner, clutching his plush toy, trying again and again to connect, yet being rejected over and over. People cried. They drove 2 hours to the zoo just to see him. But why did this little monkey break so many hearts? And Hallard's experiment actually tells us something very uncomfortable about human psychology. Because throughout my teaching career, I have seen many children who grow up exactly like that monkey. That's what I want to talk about today. From Hallard's experiment to Punch Baby Monkey, what young creatures need most is not just nourishment. It's emotional safety, attachment, the feeling that someone is there. When that attachment becomes unstable or is taken away, a child will still cling to the source of comfort, even if it hurts them. Once Punch gets rejected by other monkeys, he retreats to his Oran Mama, and then he tries again. Although he appears stronger on the outside, after facing these challenges, the impact inside still remains. Yet, just like when he tries to socialize with the other monkeys, there's still a way for him to learn and reconnect. There's a saying I have totally agreed with. For the fortunate, childhood heals a lifetime. For the unfortunate, a lifetime is spent healing childhood. And after 18 years of teaching, over thousands of students, I have seen this truth again and again. A little girl I once taught in kindergarten, around 5 years old, she came from a broken family. Her father was only 18, 19 years old. Her mother, nobody knew where she was. Almost every morning, this girl arrived late. She carried a little blanket to school, having it in her school bag, just like Punch holding his orangutan plush. Her uniform was messy, sometimes not washed for days. With the other children, she actually struggled because she didn't understand sharing. She would grab things suddenly. other kids felt uncomfortable around her. But when she was with the teachers, she became a completely different child. Because I taught English, I usually played the game with the kids, so in a way I was less strict. And this girl, who would work so hard to get my attention, one day she said to me,
Miss Liz, I'm so hungry. My dad didn't give me any food before school.
Just like that. So the kitchen auntie immediately brought her snacks. Then she would just sit there, eating, watching, enjoying being cared for. And I could see it in her whole body. The food wasn't what she was hungry for, because all she wanted was warmth, attention, someone to notice her. And sadly, that was the only place she could get. Now here's what I want you to understand. This is not only a story about poverty or broken families. So another student who was in primary one when I was teaching her, her family was very, very rich, wealthy. However, both parents were extremely busy running their own businesses. So the girl's helper had taken care of her since she was like 6 months old. And basically, that helper was the girl's whole world, like a mother. Then one day, the helper left. Then this girl changed completely. For nearly a month, she barely spoke in the class. And she only held a small stuffed toy, I still remember. That was the gift from the helper. That toy was her only emotional connection. And you know what? Later, a new helper came. And slowly, this little girl started speaking again. But the parents still rarely appeared at school. Money was never the problem, but emotional presence was missing. A child couldn't survive on love they couldn't feel. Although the girl looked normal again on the outside, those unseen wounds were deeply impacting her. There was another student, a secondary school girl. She grew up in a traditional family where sons were more valued than daughters. Since she was young, she had to do almost all house chores, while her brothers did nothing. She studied extremely hard because she kind of wanted to show her parents that I am also important. But the only place she truly felt valued was at a cat rescue, where she volunteered, taking care of abandoned cats, giving her what homes couldn't. The feeling that her presence made a difference. Then one day, a cat she deeply loved got seriously ill. The vet said there was no choice. The cat had to be put to sleep. And this secondary school girl was devastated. And you know what she told me? She said, I don't want to go back because I don't want to get attached again, so that I will not get hurt again. Different children, different family backgrounds, different circumstances, but the emotional pattern the same. When children grow up with their stable emotional attachment, they develop coping strategies Some become attention seekers, some become silent, some become perfectionists, and some avoid relationships. But all of them are trying to answer the same question. Am I loved? Am I worth it? Do I matter? And if no one ever gives them a clear, consistent answer, they spend the rest of their lives searching for it, healing from it. I understand these children very deeply because I was one of them, yet with much worse experiences. That's probably why throughout my career, I became an expert, especially dealing and helping traumatized students. Not because of textbooks, not because of degrees, but because I understand their feelings. But here's what the important part. I did not stay there. I spent years healing, learning, growing, unpacking what happened, forgiving what could be forgiven, letting go of what could not be changed. Then I realized something. My childhood impacted me in profound ways, but it doesn't define my destiny. There was a teenage girl, one of my students. She was 16 years old when the time I first met her. That time, she was kind of like standing at the edge of a cliff. Not literally, but close enough that almost gave up. Then I reached out. I'm grateful that she took my hand. And since then, she has been under my wings, slowly getting better. That moment made everything I had gone through feel like it had a purpose. I'm not standing here as someone who was broken, but as someone who overcame it, standing strong and supporting the others. The pain I went through now has meaning because not everyone can transform their suffering into strength. And that empathy, that ability to truly feel what another person is carrying, it didn't stay in my classroom, my Zoom lesson. It travels with me into everything. Even right now, in my role, working in the UK financial advisory. It's not just about knowledge or strategy. It's about the ability to truly understand what's at stake for the people I'm with. And I just want you to know that you can too. To parents watching this, I want to speak to you directly, and I want to do it with love. Children don't just need food, toys, education, good academic results. They need attention, emotional safety, a calm environment, listening, fairness, and encouragement. Not that the eldest must always give in, because that's tradition. Not that boys matter more than girls. Not that someone who's smarter has more privilege. Not that I'm too busy, the helper will take care of everything. Do not repeat the wounds you once received. You might have been hurt as a child, but it doesn't mean your children must inherit the same pain. The cycle can end with you. And I know that many of you are doing your best with what you were given. Maybe no one helped you either. Maybe you're still healing too. Healing is not weakness, because healing is the most courageous thing parents can do. Punch the Monkey is still at Ichikawa Zoo as I film this. He carries his plush toy still when he's scared, but he's getting better. He's making friends. He's learning how to belong. I remember the zookeeper said one thing. We hope supporters focusing on Punch progress, not feeling sorry for him. I feel the same way about all of us. Don't pity the child you were. Be proud of the person you are becoming. For the fortunate, childhood heals a lifetime. For the unfortunate, a lifetime is spent healing childhood. But even if you belong to the second group, it doesn't mean the story ends there. Healing is possible, and sometimes those who walk through hell becomes the ones who can guide others out. Thank you for watching till this end, because that tells me that you understand. And I'll see you in the next one.